Good evening, good afternoon, and hello to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the much awaited HIV is Not a Crime Training Academy, What to Expect webinar. We'll have lots of information to share with you all. So we're going to get into it. But first, we have some announcements.
Maria, just to let you know, we can't see your screen. It says that you're sharing, but we cannot see the slides.
Fantastic. So let's try that again. Oh, it's because, okay. Sorry for people listening to the recording and my nervous tongue. Bear with me while I get back to the slides. Okay, slide share. Can you see those now? No? Oh, okay, got it, I got it. Okay, so I think we're good to go now? No?
Nope, we still can't see them. Do you want me to do it?
Yes, please.
Okay, get back to the top. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tami. Teamwork. Okay, so I can never remember if I let Livia speak and then I read this in English. I'm going to pass it to Livia to translate this part of how folks can access the Spanish translation. And I'm ready to go whenever you are, Tami. Okay, thank you. Next slide. So as I was saying at the top of the recording, thank you all for joining us. We have a lot of information to go over, and we'll be opening up for questions and answers towards the end. But we're going to do a welcome, some housekeeping, going over our guiding principles to set the foundation of HIV is Not a Crime Training Academy, and going over our COVID-19 protocols, and then some logistics of what to expect through travel, our various institutes that will host in our campus. I want to also give a huge thank you to our HINAC sponsors. We couldn't do any of this without the support, the generous support of Gilead, AIDS Healthcare Foundation, the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation, Health Not Prisons Collective, HIV Justice Worldwide, VIV, the Center for Community Solutions, Broadway Cares, and the Greater Pike Community Foundation. Next slide, please. Also, this event could not happen without the tremendous dedication from the partner organizations of HIV is Not a Crime Training Academy. So tonight you'll be hearing from representatives from Sero, Positive Women's Network. We have folks helping with planning behind the scenes as well with Positively Trans, 5SS, and the US People Living with HIV Caucus. Next slide, please. Also, because of where we're going to be hosted, I'm going to turn this over to our host committee. Cedric, are you with us?
Yes, Kamaria, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, welcome to this amazing What to Expect at HINAC5. My name is Cedric Pulliam. I serve as the co-chair of the HINAC5 Virginia Host Committee and co-founder of the ECHO VA Coalition in the state of Virginia. We are really excited to invite and to have all of you who will be joining us for HINAC5 in the state of Virginia, or the state where the slogan is Virginia's for Lovers. And on behalf of my colleague, Deidre Speaks Johnson, we are so grateful to serve as the co-chairs of the host committee, and we promise a wonderful experience alongside of the other leaders and partners that Kamaria was able to describe to you all and list out. And so thank you so much on the behalf of the host committee, and I'll turn it back over to you, Kamaria. Thank you.
Thank you, Cedric. And also a huge thank you to Emory and Henry College, where we are being hosted for this fantastic event. And you're going to hear more about them later on. Next slide. So our housekeeping for those that are new to this space and want to know how they're going to get all the information. This webinar will be recorded. We will be sending this out later for review. We are also offering Spanish translation during this time. And both the recording will be available hopefully on our YouTube channel sometime tomorrow. We have to wait for the upload and all that. If you have questions during the time that folks are speaking, please feel free to use the chat and the Q&A feature if you have access to it. Preferably, if you have a question you don't want us to miss, use the Q&A feature so we can field it and it doesn't get lost in the chat. And then also just try to remain on mute until we get to the end, and then we'll have question and answer. Next slide. So I'm going to turn this over to one of our amazing partners, Barb Cardell, to talk about our guiding principles and community agreements.
Great, thank you, Kamaria. Hello, everybody. Barb Cardell, the Program Director for the U.S. Positive Women's Network, or PWN USA. I use they, them pronouns, and I am really looking forward to seeing everyone in person in Virginia, June 4th through the 7th. As we're getting ready to come together, and especially as we're preparing, we wanted to go ahead and start thinking about what were some principles that could help us come together in shared space in a way that both respects each other's differences, but also helps us build community in a way that is increasing our power and our ability to impact the issues that are so important to us. Next slide, please. So here are some guiding principles and community agreements, and we would love to hear in the chat if there are other ones that you would like to see us adopt and bring to HINAC5 to help support your participation and your engagement. So first off, we want to talk about anti-criminalization. We come at our work from an abolitionist and anti-criminalization perspective. We know that there are parts of our community that are over-policed and are in danger from this over-policing, and that includes our communities of color, in particular our Black friends and family, as well as our transgender folks. And so we come at HIV is not a crime with a perspective of anti-criminalization, not trying to make laws better, but trying to remove them, and that is important. We also come at it from meaningfully involving the people living with HIV, that when we are focusing conversations, that people who are living with HIV, who have the lived experience, are the subject matter experts, and that their perspective is elevated. We talk about intersectionality. We show up with so many different parts and pieces of ourselves, and that we really identify at those intersections so that we are seeing the complexity of our lives and giving people opportunity to embrace their entire selves and bring their entire selves to our HINAC community. We build equitable power, that we know that there are power dynamics and power differentials that we navigate in both clinical settings, research settings, certainly in the carceral system or the criminal justice system. So we at HINAC seek to really disrupt that and to think about how we can elevate the subject matter expertise of our members, of our people, elevating that lived experience. So we honor Black, Indigenous, and Latinx leadership and strategies. That we think about anti-violence, both within our communities and how we can move in those spaces while we are at HINAC. And you'll see that there's some interesting kind of community standards that we are recommending that we would like to embrace that really works in this anti-violence capacity. We talk about gender and culture affirming participation and membership. So when we are in these spaces, we want to make sure that we are affirming and embracing everyone, how they show up, whether it is around gender, whether it is around culture, whether it is around any other part of that intersectionality, that we are not judging, and we are allowing people to show up in a way that feels meaningful and powerful to them. That we think strategically. It is easy sometimes to get focused on the details and something that is easy to solve, but that we instead work to be strategic in our thinking, addressing the bigger challenges that might take us a little bit longer to problem solve, but that get us wins universally as we move forward. And allyship, you know, and I would actually say beyond allyship, even accompliceness, which is that our intersectionality means that we support each other, that we stand up for each other, and that we have skin in the game for how each of us shows up in a way that is healthy and powerful. So if there are other community agreements and you want to list them into the chat, we would love to see them. I can't see the chat at the moment, but we will write them down and bring them up on our next conversation. Next slide, please. So within these guiding principles and the community agreements, we really have a couple of key areas that we want to talk about. Respect, again, that we are all different. We would like this to be a brave space where we come and ask difficult questions and honor our different experiences. That we have a collective responsibility. This space is designed by and for us. This is not a conference that's being put on by some large national organization that is bringing people together and want people to sit down and just kind of listen and learn. This is a conference that has been planned by people living with HIV and networks of people living with HIV. So this is our responsibility to show up, have concerns about what might be going on. If there is something that is happening, identify it, help us problem solve it before it becomes a larger issue. The next points we have are zero tolerance for prejudice and zero tolerance for violence. In your application, as well as in your registration, you signed an agreement saying that you are going to abide by our sort of agreements around being inclusive and as well as not tolerating violence, which includes sexual harassment or sexual assault in any of its forms. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Commitment, you know, that we have worked hard to prepare a bunch of sessions that we think are going to be really helpful to everyone. Please, please, if possible, show up on time, stay until the end, participate. This is a community organized conference, and we need everyone's brain power. We need everyone's perspective. We need everyone's experience to help us as we develop coalitions and strategic answers to work on this decriminalization effort across the United States. Again, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you're there in a session, silence your phone so we don't distract people. Try and do the return calls during the breaks, and then respecting confidentiality. That is always important. You know, keep the stories, take them home, share them with people, but lose the actors. And so if it is something that you heard, share what the lesson was, how it impacted you, but please don't mention somebody's name or their status because we have a number of folks that are coming for the first time, and we want this to be a meaningful and inviting space for them to participate. And this always, again, helps us as we talk about confidentiality. It's so important when we meet as a community. And please, when you're taking pictures, request that if somebody else is in your picture, that you make sure that they are comfortable with it being shared on social media before you post it out. Next slide. So again, as we said, we are committed to the safety of and respect for all participants. So we wanted to just take time to do a little bit of a reminder about some of the foundational terms when we are talking about these things. So when we're talking about gender, gender is a social construct. It is something that we say, men are this, women are this, boys are this, girls are this. It is how we assume, and we know that assumptions are dangerous. Instead, let's talk about gender identity, which is how someone inherently believes, deeply believes that they are in the world. So how do you think of yourself? Do you think of yourself as a man, as a woman, as something different, as both? There are a lot of terms, and we'll get to those later, but gender identity can be incredibly expansive. Gender expression, That's how you demonstrate your gender, how you physically are showing up in the world. So how you are dressed, how you're made up, how you're talking. And so gender expression is one of these very fluid things that can change from minute to minute, day to day. Then we have gender assigned at birth. This is, yeah, okay. So gender assigned at birth is typically male or female. Some folks have been determined to be intersex at birth, meaning that they have some genitalia that is not easy to determine, or can be some of both. But for the most part, this is how your doctors and your parents chose to identify your gender. This is how you were named early on. Then we have sexual and emotional energy and orientation. So we talk about sexual orientation, but there's a lot of components that can go into that. So that is who you are attracted to, and many other ways, whether it's a physical attraction and an emotional attraction. That is part of what goes into a sexual, emotional, and energy orientation. So we wanted to share those terms with you before we go to the next slide. And this is this amazing graphic called the SOGI astronaut, which is sexual orientation and gender identity. And really what we wanted to share with folks is that of those list of definitions that we had before, you can be in a different place depending on the day. You can be in a different place on all of these different aspects or categories. So it's kind of like there's a world of space rocks out there, and you get to pick what most resembles, what most resonates with how you are identifying. So we talk about sex assigned at birth. That's what basically because of how you are identified by doctors. That one kind of happened for you, but the rest of them can be how you choose to show up. Excuse me. So we talk about gender identity, man, woman, other, and then in the rocks we have all of these great sort of choices like androgynous, NIMBY, which is non-binary, and so many other choices. So you can decide which of those space rocks you want to land on, where you're feeling you want to be that particular day. You can talk about gender expression. You know, how do you want to show up? Do you want to be really feminine? Do you want to be masculine? Do you want to be an androgynous? It is up to you and how you feel like you want to be present. Then we talk about who you're attracted to. And so that was that sexual orientation, energy orientation. So are you attracted to women, to men, to multiple genders? That will give you all of the options here. You can be bisexual, you can be pangender, you can be lesbian, you can be gay, you can be homosexual, heterosexual. All those are options. The other piece that we have in there is about cisgender and transgender. And that's kind of important, because when we are talking about cisgender and transgender people, and that's the box over to the right, for transgender folks, the sex that they were assigned at birth and their own internal gender identity, how they see themselves, do not match. It is often a term to describe people whose gender identity can be either entirely different or it can be non-binary, meaning that it is somewhere in the middle. It can be both. All of those are considered transgender, and all it means is that trans, meaning shifted from birth. Transgender, your gender is shifted from what you identified at birth, versus cisgender, which is a term that we use to describe people whose gender identity matches the sex they were assigned at birth. Then we have the pronouns, and we're going to actually go to another slide to talk about pronouns. Next slide, please. Yeah, here we go. There are a bunch of different options when we come to pronouns. There is she and her, and there is he and him, they and them, ze and zir. So we want to talk about pronouns because they are super important when we're respecting how people show up in space. Using someone's correct pronouns respects them. It creates a safe environment where people feel included. It is problematic if you are guessing people's pronouns by how they identify or what their sexual expression is, how you would identify them from their external presentation. Instead, what's a great way to go forward if you don't know someone's pronouns is to just introduce yourself and say, hi, my name is Barb. I use they, them pronouns. Which pronouns do you use? And that is a great way to know so that you are respecting people. Pronouns are really important. When we are misgendering people, when we are using the wrong pronouns, it can be dangerous and it can cause people to feel really feel not included, and it can be unsafe. So the reason why we're covering this and the coming to HINAC is that we want to make sure that when we come together as a community that we have both the terminology as well as an understanding about how we're talking about these. And if people have questions, you'll get the slides, they'll be shared with you. And it is really going to be important for us as we come together. Next slide, please. Again, we really, really, really want to make sure that people are using the term that is used by the person. And we want to also say that transgender is an adjective and it should never be used as a noun. So we would never say Max is a transgender. Instead, we want to use and be person inclusive. So we would say Max is a transgender person or Max is a transgender man. It never needs an ED at the end. We don't talk about people being transgendered. So again, as we're creating community, we want to create community that is inclusive and safe. And again, when we talk about misgendering, it can be deeply painful. It can be unsafe. And we really don't want to do that. That is part of our agreements when we come together. Next slide. So as we're moving into new spaces and as we're coming back together again, we just wanted to put this down as a recommendation because sometimes it's easy for us to fall into sort of traditional language. Like we say, hey, ladies, or hi, guys. We want to try and avoid that kind of gendered language. And so instead we put these recommendations here that are ones that we want to recommend that people use when we come together. So like, thanks, friends. Hi, everyone. Good morning, folks. All of these are ways that we move to a more gender inclusive language so that people who are coming together with us in community don't feel like they are being misgendered and feel like we really are making an effort and really beyond an effort, actually, that we have committed to being inclusive. And so that is just a real quick kind of review of our community agreements, some terminology around gender, as well as kind of just a little bit of a reminder about why language is so important. We talk about language mattering all the time when people use problematic terms to talk about us as people living with HIV. And I'm not even going to say those terms because we know what those are. So we also can commit to learn and being really inclusive. Next slide. Great. Next up, we're going to talk about the COVID-19 guidelines, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Kevin.
Thanks, Barb. Thank you so much. So now we're going to talk about our COVID-19 guidelines that the executive committee spent quite a bit of time putting into place. And if we can go to the next slide, please. We have decided, the HINAC5 executive committee has decided to use these as the COVID-19 protocols for HINAC5. All persons that will be attending HINAC must be up to date per CDC guidelines with your COVID-19 vaccinations and boosters. And when you receive the slide deck, you will be able to hit the hyperlink on the words up to date and always see what the CDC current guidelines are. When you register for HINAC on HUVA, you're going to be asked to upload your vaccination card, and you must provide your vaccination card to actually attend HINAC. Scholarship recipients have a little bit more of a responsibility. We need to get your vaccination cards by email before we can make your travel arrangements. And so watch your emails and we will keep you informed on that. And when we need to have your COVID-19 cards by. We are unable to accept any doctor's letters that detail exemption from vaccinations or boosters. And we understand this is counterintuitive to the discrimination we always fight as a community. However, we're going to have 300 folks at HINAC, and we have to do things to keep everyone safe and make sure we consider everyone that may attend HINAC. CDC guidelines, the safest options is a combination of being vaccinated and also boosting, social distancing, hand washing, and wearing a mask. And so in order to attend HINAC, you need to have your first 2 initial vaccines, if it's Pfizer or Moderna, or one of the Janssen vaccine, and then one booster administered between September 2022 to mid-April 2023. That the reason we chose those dates for the boosters is that includes the new bivalent booster, which protects everyone against the Omicron strains. Next slide, please. So masks, masks have really helped a lot in preventing COVID-19 transmission, especially in environments where people come together and we may not always be able to social distance. They provide a great deal of protection to people at risk for severe illness. And, at HINAC5, we will all have access to masks, and we're going to be strongly encouraged to wear them when we're out in public with everyone else. We're not going to bar anyone from participating in HINAC5 if you choose not to wear a mask. And we understand that many in our community may be more active about masking than others, but we are going to ask you when you're around people and it's hard to self-distance to please wear your mask. Physical distancing, we will also have stickers for your HINAC badges that will let people know how you feel about hugging or how you want other people to interact with you. And so please be mindful when you see those stickers on the HINAC badge. Next slide, please. Testing. We're going to ask everyone prior to coming to HINAC, like the day before, to do an at-home COVID test and notify organizers if you happen to have a reactive test. In addition, we will be providing all participants at HINAC with self-tests available throughout the conference. If you're not feeling well, or if you just want to test. Similarly, if you test positive while at the conference, we will have, we'll make very clear who you need to contact if you throw a reactive test, and so we can make sure that everyone is safe as we move forward throughout HINAC. And then, as you know, as HIV advocates, we know we all try to keep ourselves safe. More than rules and requirements, we hope care and concern for your fellow conference participants will inform your choices to mask and distance when possible during HINAC5. We try to adopt protocols, again, that will be as least restrictive and guarantee that HINAC5 is as wonderful as the first 4 HINACs. And let's go to the next slide. And I think I'm going to be turning it over to Tami. So Tami is going to go on with travel logistics, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all at HINAC.
Thank you, Kevin. And just from the start, I want to let everyone know that travel logistics is not my expertise. It is Cindy Stein. Unfortunately, Cindy's not able to join us tonight, but know that Cindy is our resident expert and who will be in contact with anyone who received a scholarship. Cindy will be in touch with you to arrange your transportation if you received a scholarship that includes transportation. So if we can all just take a second and send all positive energy, vibes, and light to Cindy. But she will be starting travel arrangements for everyone soon. We want to let everyone know we will have a track phone and a number that will be provided in case of an emergency when you're traveling to HINAC and during the training academy itself. We haven't bought that yet, but we'll make sure that everyone who is attending HINAC will have that number in case you need to reach out, you need help, and if something happens while you're at HINAC or traveling to and from. Our travel logistics, scholarship awardees, you must check your travel confirmation email from Cindy to make sure you have it for your check-in. You need to make sure that all your information is correct and go directly to the airline website to make sure your name is spelled correctly. If you've provided your frequent flyer mileage, all of that. And that needs to be done within 24 hours from when Cindy sends you your itinerary from the airline. So next week, we need you to be check your emails often and look for an email from Cindy. To keep in mind, we do not cover the cost of checked bags. Reminder, some airports only accept credit cards. So you want to make sure that you know what your local airport does or does not accept for if you have a checked bag. Label your luggage with your name, address, and phone number on the inside and outside. Keep your medication, prescription eyeglasses, or other items of importance or value in a carry-on bag. Check your flight information and print out your boarding pass the night before you travel. Make sure you arrive at the airport at least 2 hours prior to your flight's departure. Security has been increased and lines are longer at some airports, so please know what is best at your local airport or the one that you will be flying out of. Let me move this around. For travel, a majority of people will fly into the Tri-Cities Airport, which is Bloomfield, Tennessee. It's just miles from the Virginia border. It's a very small airport. It's about a 3-minute walk from the gate to the lobby of the airport. And we will have volunteers who will be in that lobby to welcome you, show you where to stay, to wait for the shuttle buses to come pick you up. And we'll also be there to help escort or be with people who, especially our transgender community, who may feel uncomfortable going to the bathroom. We want to make sure that everyone feels safe. And so there will be volunteers to be there for you and be there with you. So just a little bit about the Tri-Cities Airport. It has nonstop flights from these 5 major hubs. So it's Orlando, St. Pete, Clearwater International Airport, Charlotte, Douglas International Airport, Dallas Fort Worth, and Atlanta Hartsville Jackson International Airport. And the 3 airlines that fly into this airport are Allegiant, American, and Delta. So if you have your frequent flyer miles with United, I'm sorry, that's not going to work at this airport. These are the 3 airlines that we will be booking flights with. When you arrive at the airport, we will have shuttle arrangements will be made in shifts, which will be determined after airline travel has been secured. Emory and Henry College is actually providing shuttle services to and from the airport to the college. Scholarship recipients will be prioritized on the shuttle. However, we want full shuttles. So if you're arranging your own travel, we will do our best to accommodate you on the shuttle buses as well. And then just that reminder, again, you must confirm your flight within 24 hours of Cindy sending you your itinerary. When Cindy starts making flights for scholarship awardees in coming weeks, you must respond within that 24 hours. Obviously, we have said that, or I've said that 3 times now, because it is very important that you get back to her ASAP. Because once the flight is booked and you are confirmed, any changes needed for your flight after that, it will be up to you to cover those charges. So we really need you to be aware and check your emails next week and the week after as flights are being arranged. What to bring, you might wonder. Do we have a dress code? There is no dress code for the conference, but we recommend you bring a sweater or a jacket, as meeting rooms can sometimes be chilly. As well as comfortable clothes for getting around the campus or taking a walk. So we want you to be comfortable. And there is a reception the last night of the training academy. Some people like to dress up for it, but you know what? We just want you to be there to help relieve some of the stress after being in sessions for so many days. So just come and be comfortable is the main thing. Please remember that there may be legislators and others attending, including a social reception on Tuesday, to which you are all invited. The average weather in Virginia in June is the average high of 81 and a low of 57. Of course, we have no idea with Mother Nature what's going to happen while we are there, but those are the averages. We ask that you leave a little extra room in your baggage, as you may have items and materials to take home with you from the conference. I know that's challenging if you just have one checked bag, but just something to think about. You must bring all your toiletries with you, toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, and shampoo. Remember to follow TSA rules, no more than 3 ounces in 1 clear quart bag for any of the liquids. And of course, do not forget to bring your medications if you take any. We also ask, please respect the fact that some people are allergic to fragrances and have asthma and sinus issues. So if you use cologne and perfume, please use it sparingly. And then also to be as environmentally mindful as possible. Please bring your own travel mugs and or water bottles. There are water stations throughout campus that you can fill up your water bottles or travel mugs. And that is it for me. And I believe I turn it over to Kamaria.
Hi, yes, thank you so much. I just want to recap a couple of things because they were mentioned in the chat during Barb's overview. We will have pronoun buttons available at HINAC to help folks identify themselves and make that introduction to one another a little more comfortable. And Tami already talked about what to wear. So yeah, next slide. So HINAC has the unique space of being really called in and loved on. Is how I see this. And I'm really proud to know that the Black United Leadership Initiative, which was birthed at HINAC, will be present. Tami, you can go to the next slide and I can give folks an overview of what BULLY is. So BULLY, the Black United Leaderships Institute, which is now Initiative, emerged from anti-Black harms that were experienced during HINAC 2, which felt like a lifetime ago, but really was not that far removed from history, in Huntsville. And it helped establish the first pre-institute at HINAC, which was in Indiana. And this space helped increase awareness of need to support Black leadership, educate community on the intersection of policing and healthcare, discuss relationship between abolition. Barb mentioned this earlier, that is a framework that HINAC is embodying, mass incarceration and healthcare. Also to provide an example of current war on Black bodies, what that looks like, whistleblower on sterilization of women being detained by ICE, for example. And then discussing relationship between, my slide is hidden by a Zoom pop-up, but discuss relationship between abolition and mass incarceration. And I cannot say the last word because of a Zoom notification that I can't close. Can someone let me know what that last word is? I want to say over policing, but I don't want to guess.
I apologize, Kamaria.
Okay.
Which one are you on? Example
the very last
current, slide. Discuss relationship between abolition, mass incarceration, and healthcare.
Healthcare, thank you. And I think Barb was trying to help too. Thank you so much. So BULLY came together, as you can see, this lovely group of folks. We really, I feel, shook the energy in Indiana and had a space where we could have these conversations amongst ourselves as Black leaders in this work. And from that, other folks felt that and felt a need for other spaces to also be able to come together and have these really important conversations to help build and lay the foundation for community. So next slide. In addition to BULLY, we now also have the Transgender Leadership Institute. You'll be when you're at HINAC during our welcome and opening, you'll be meeting the facilitators of each of these spaces, or at least the leaders of each of these spaces. During the welcome, they'll be introducing themselves. So the Transgender Leadership Institute, next slide. the Latinx United Leadership Institute, next slide. The White Folks Dismantling Racism in HIV Spaces Institute, and then the last institute is a space that is new that we haven't quite finished identifying, but it will be referred to for now as the Intersectional Identities Institute. So I'll talk a little bit about this, but I want to let folks know that the institute spaces are about it's a 3-hour time block on the first day of HINAC, and folks that identify where they're comfortable is where we're asking you to spend that entire time. And there will be a facilitator that will guide you on whatever the expected outcome is for that space. For the Intersectional Identities Institute, the reason we haven't fully fleshed this out is because folks have been having concerns about what if you have multiple identities and you want to be in more than one space and you don't want to miss out? Or what if you don't identify with any of the other institute spaces, then what do you do with your time? Doing is intentional outreach to folks as they register via scholarship or via general registration through gender identity and racial identity. If they select prefer not to answer or other, then we're doing outreach with those individuals to see what would they like to discuss. This doesn't have to necessarily be identity focused. It can be issue focused, but we want to make sure that we're being intentional about addressing intersectionality for spaces, for folks that don't feel like they belong to just one space or there's not a space there for them. So we're asking for community to help us identify that. This is our first year doing this, so we do ask for grace as we figure this out, and really want to give credit and thanks to the Black leaders of Bully for helping create this kind of ripple effect of being intentional about making sure that we're not having linear conversations about how to end HIV criminalization. So I will go and pass this on, I think, yes, I pass this on over to Eric.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Fleiter. I'm Communications Director for Sero Project. And I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about some of the experiences that we're going to offer at HINAC5. Next slide. So in our opening, we hope to have a special ceremony for the land acknowledgement that Native and Indigenous folks will be acknowledged for the land that was taken from them, that will be holding this training on. We will also celebrate the states that have made progress in their modernization efforts. We will have a group picture, so be sure to bring your HIV is not a crime t-shirts, and we should have new t-shirts available for purchase at the training. We'll provide a space for an altar room, so if there's someone that you want to celebrate their life, or if you just need a space to kind of calm down and bring your bring everything centered, we'll have our altar room available. We're going to provide an open mic night for a little entertainment, as well as some other additional entertainment, evening activities for entertainment. We'll have art from our art contest winners posted. So we're really excited to share that, because artivism is really, really cool thing that we can do. And then we'll have partner organization meet and greet. So that way you can meet all of the wonderful people who are putting this, this event on. And then there's much, much more. So then we're going to talk about what the campus has to offer. So our plenaries will be in a large theater. Everything we're working on getting streaming going for those of you who cannot attend in person. So all of the plenaries will be streamed. And then some of the breakout rooms, breakout sessions will be also available over streaming. Next slide. So your dorm room, when you're staying on campus, because this is an academy and not necessarily a convention, we're staying in dorm rooms, like all the past HINACs. So a dorm room consists of a double 2-person occupancy room with 2 extra large twin beds and contemporary furnishings. So you have electricity and some workspace and that sort of thing. Each room has its own temperature control, so that's between you and your roommate, if you have one, to decide on the temperature. You'll have free wireless internet capability. You'll have Wi-Fi available all over campus, and you won't have to pay for it, which is great. Also, talking about the sleeping arrangements, beds will be lowered for all of the attendees. So that way you're not having to climb up on a bed, and it will be easier for people with accessibility challenges. Next slide. All right, so with your registration, you'll also be receiving linen packets for each occupant. It will include a blanket, a twin sheet, 1 pillow and 1 pillowcase, 3 bath towels, and 3 washcloths. And I'm sorry, I'm seeing some questions pop up. Can we bring a mattress cover to add softness to the mattress? If you can fit it into your carry-on, or if you'd like to check that, yes, absolutely. Bring whatever that makes you comfortable, but that is on your own. Some of the items that are not provided in the rooms, there are no ice machines. So if you need ice, I believe each dorm has, it's kind of like a quad setup. So for, I believe, a floor, they have a kitchenette. So I imagine that if you needed ice, you could make your own. Hair dryers and irons are not provided. So if you need a hair dryer or any other type of appliances, please bring those on your own. There are no TVs, clocks, or alarms within the room, so you'll have to provide those if you'd like them. And again, like the quad setup, each floor has its own living space that's all shared. And then also, just to reiterate what Tami said, you need to bring your own toiletries and hygiene products. There are no shampoo, there's no body wash, soap, makeup remover, any of that sort of thing. You need to bring your own. So just a reminder that this is not a hotel, it is a dorm room, because we are creating a learning environment. And there are no linen or housekeeping services during your stay. So you and your roommate will be responsible for making your own beds, unless you have a really nice roommate and they make your bed for you. Don't expect to have a housekeeping crew come through your room, which is also a safety thing as well. Yolanda says, bring your toilet paper. Yeah, that would be a great idea, especially if you have a special kind that you like. If your fanny is accustomed to a particular toilet paper, I would suggest bringing a roll or two in your luggage. All right. Next slide, our meal options. So meals will be provided to our attendees. There will be a breakfast buffet and a lunch buffet, as well as a dinner buffet. All of the meals, there will be vegan and gluten-free options available in the cafeteria eateries. And if you have any specific allergies, please indicate that on your registration form. The last day, because it's only a partial day, we'll provide a prepackaged meal. So a meal on the go. All right.
And now we'll go through, thank you so much, Eric. The plus sign just refers to breakfast plus lunch plus dinner. We're going to go into some frequently asked questions that we've received in the past, that we've applied to what to expect for this HINAC. And then we're going to open up for full questions and answers. Thanks for folks dropping them in the chat and the Q&A section. So I'm going to pass this over to our host committee, one of our host committee chairs, Cedric.
Thank you, Kamaria. Next slide, please. So, frequently asked questions. Is there Wi-Fi and internet access? Wi-Fi internet access is open to all on campus at Emory and Henry College, so yes. The second one, will language justice be practiced at HINAC5? We will have interpretation services available for the plenaries. We will have a process on site for checking out and returning headsets and receivers, and priority will go to people who have indicated such needs during the registration and scholarship process. We cannot guarantee sessions held in virtual capacity will have language justice access at this time. Will there be gender neutral bathrooms? There will be signage posted for restrooms identified for all gender identities. Next slide, please. Where can I smoke on campus? Smoking, vaping, or any smoking related product is allowed only in indicated areas where there is an ashtray. Smoking inside of dorms is strictly prohibited and not permitted at all on the campus. Where can I drink alcohol on campus? We will have alcoholic beverages provided at our last night reception activities. You may purchase alcohol while visiting the campus restaurant, beer and wine only. Any other consumption of alcohol must be contained within the dorm room only. No open alcohol beverages are permitted outside of these spaces. Next slide, please. Where can I purchase food, coffee, drinks, snacks, or any other items? Your registration fee includes all meals, snacks, and beverages throughout the day. The on-campus restaurant, Mikado's, the hours that, well, Mikado's that has sandwiches, soups, appetizers, beer, and wine. The restaurant hours will be Monday through Saturday, 9 to 11 a.m. And then on campus mercantile store hours is Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And of course, summer hours may vary. So of course, if we get an update from Emory Henry College, we will make sure to definitely make sure that registered participants of HINAC5 is updated. We are located approximately 10 to 15 miles from the next major town. So getting off campus or using Uber Eats, DoorDash, and other food or convenience delivery services are not guaranteed to be available and may have high delivery fees. Next slide, please. Oh, and I apologize. Go back to the previous slide. So the on-campus restaurant hours for Mikado's is actually 9 a.m. through 11 p.m. I don't want to repeat that for the recording. Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. through 11 p.m. are the on-campus restaurant hours. Next slide, please. Can I bring my child or children, spouse, or caregiver with me to HINAC5? Only HINAC5 registrants are permitted on campus and must be over the age of 18. To be clear, HINAC organizers and partner organizations do not offer childcare services on or off campus. Infants and children under the age of 18 are not allowed on campus. Scheduled workshops, breakouts, and institute time, including lodging, any planned meals and or social events will be open only to those registered to attend HINAC5. All registered participants must wear their HINAC badges during these collective times. Next slide, please. What if I get locked out of the building or my bedroom dorm room? Please have your roommate's contact info to contact as a primary backup. Guests that are locked out of a bedroom or dorm or building should contact conference support. What if I lose my dorm or building access key? You will have to pay $150 if you lose your dorm and or building access key, so do not lose it. In the event that you do lose it, please look for it thoroughly and calmly before reporting. Once campus facilities log the key is lost, they reset the lock and cannot undo it if you locate your original key. So again, please be thorough and calm while you are looking before you report a lost key. Please contact conference support to start the process of creating a new key and be prepared to pay the $150 fee. Conference organizers are not responsible for lost or stolen keys. Next slide, please. What if I arrive after the program begins on Sunday, June 4th? The program starts at 6:15 p.m. sharp with a welcome dinner. Dinner will be available between 5 o'clock p.m. through 6:45 p.m. If you arrive during that time, you will be directed to where you can grab your dinner and you will be able to register after the welcome. If you arrive after 6:45 p.m., to-go plates will be set aside for you. We will have a specific amount set aside as we make travel arrangements. So please, if you arrive at dinner at the designated time, do not take a prepackaged meal. You will have access to a buffet during dinner hours. Next slide. All right, and I will pass it back over to our great hostess with the mostest, Kamaria. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cedric. And I've been trying to keep up with the questions in the chat. I don't know, maybe we can start promoting people, or folks can raise your hand to be able to ask a question, but just want to recap some things that have been answered already. Someone asked, are there refrigerators in the room? Each dorm quad housing section has a refrigerator. So if you have medications that need to be refrigerated, please use that, but please label your medication just in case others in the dorm area also have the same thing. I put the link to the restaurant in the chat. A mercantile store is like a general store. It's like where the book supply, school supplies are, as well as like some deodorants and Pepto-Bismol. It's a very small section, so it's not like an actual dollar store or a Walmart. It's a very small store, but it is available in case you have those emergency items. Both of those links will be available within the slides as well for folks to peruse. And just a reminder for the on-campus restaurant, just to let you know, like a group of Cedric, myself, Eric, Tami, and Deirdre, I believe, we were able to tour the campus. So we're not just pulling this stuff from Google and telling you, here's what to expect. We actually went. We ate the food at the restaurant. We've looked at the rooms to make sure that we're giving you the best information that we can. So I'm seeing a question, will we be given lanyard type badges? We're working on getting color badges to separate, not separate, I don't like using that word, but to identify folks that either don't want their photograph taken, volunteers, and I think general color lanyards. And then, yeah, your badge can be attached to that. So you can put your key, keep it, you can loop it onto the hook of where your badge goes if that's the type we'll get. We're going to be careful to look for those types. But yes, it's very critical and important that you not lose your room key. It is not a key card that folks can just print out at a machine. It's an actual key and lock that you have to turn to the left or the right. And once we report it as stolen or lost or whatever, they're going to go through their process. And once they start their process, they cannot undo it or stop in the middle and say, oopsies. We have to keep in mind, this is a college campus. Other students will be coming behind us. So we want to, not incur any extra fees for them. We don't want their fees to go up either. Tuition's high enough as it is, folks. And yeah, I'm seeing folks are making plans for roommates in the chat. I'm loving it. So building community. Are there any other questions? Do folks want to raise their hand?
In the Q&A, there was a question, I think it was answered in the chat. Wahida asked, will there be golf carts as in past conferences, to help those get around who may have mobility issues? The answer is yes. We will have golf cart accessibility for those who need additional assistance getting around campus. And then
Thank
someone
you.
also asked, can a DJ bring his mixer console along?
So I don't know what that's specifically in reference to. I know that we're having a reception and the host committee is working on getting a DJ. I know the university has a sound system. So I don't want to say yes because I don't know what that system is referring to, but we have some events being planned. So I don't want to say no, but I also don't quite know what all that system includes. So I don't really want to say yes either. I just lost a question in the chat. It was way at the top that I wanted to repeat for the sake of the recording. Folks are asking about arriving early. We're asking that you not arrive on Saturday, especially if you're a scholarship recipient. Your travel will start on June 4th and you'll be leaving on June 7th. We will identify Israel. Sorry, I didn't mean to call your name out. We will identify folks in need of Spanish translation. So other folks that will be attending that speak Spanish as well. On campus, that's also where you'll be able to connect during the Latinx Institute. And just for a reminder for folks that didn't catch it in the chat, the Institute will be on the first full day. It's a 3-hour block. I cannot remember the specific time. A program will be made available once you arrive, but it's a 3-hour block on Monday. Everyone's arriving on Sunday. And I saw another question.
Kamaria,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Kamaria, if I can just add
Mm-hmm.
something. So as you register on HUVA, we can open up and publish HUVA 30 days before the training academy. And by that time, the agenda and the program will be on HUVA. So you'll have access to it before you get to the training academy. And we're not going to have printed programs since we do have HUVA. It's an app that once you register, you will get an email and you can upload it either on your computer and or your phone and that way you have access to announcements. You can communicate with other attendees. Like if let's meet for dinner, you can do that on HUVA's app. So it's very interactive. But we can't make that live until it's just 30 days before the training academy. So please register on HUVA, and 30 days before the training academy, we will have that live. You'll be able to see other attendees along with the schedule, the agenda, and things like that. So I just wanted to uplift that for everyone.
Thank you, Tami. Before I forget, I found the question I lost earlier. Someone asked about leaving meals on the last day. On the last day, we'll be done at noon. We will try our best to arrange travel where everyone's not leaving at the same time and you won't miss anything, but there will be box lunches available for folks that do have to leave right at that time to make their flight. Also, normally we do our group picture on the very last day and people have to leave. Our group picture is scheduled, I want to say either earlier in that day or the day before, so that we can make sure we don't miss out on getting folks in the picture. And I saw some other questions jump in at the bottom.
So there were questions in the Q&A regarding requesting specific roommates. How would someone?
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
So I will let Tami handle that and then I'll go back to the chat.
Okay. So I just want to let people know, I see especially Wahida and Melanie are trying to pair up. The chances of that happening probably will not, just because Melanie is coming in early for SPJI event. And so you will have the same roommate throughout the training academy. And so, sorry, that one won't happen. As far as roommates for others, we did ask it on the application. If you did not specify during registration, since it's on Whova, I'm not sure if you can go in and amend that. If you would email, just email me, I will make a note of it on our documents, and we will do everything we can to ensure that you have the roommate that you indicate, and especially as long as they indicate you as well. But we cannot guarantee it. So I just want to we will do our best to room people with who they want to room with. But, you know, there are some circumstances that may make it that can't happen. But we try to honor that as much as we can.
And then along those same lines, what are the lodging, like is lodging co-ed? And what about individuals who identify as trans or gender non-conforming or non-binary?
So lodging has not been co-ed at previous training academies unless two people specifically ask for a roommate that is co-ed. For transgender and gender non-conforming, we do try to room gender non-conforming, non-binary together. But if you know of somebody that you would like to be specifically room with, please, Eric dropped my email into the chat box, Tami.Haught, Haught, at seroproject.com. And we will do our absolute best to make those accommodations.
And Tami, there's a question about arranging rental cars to get to and from the airport for folks that either aren't comfortable with shuttle or their flight might be getting in really late and they might be the only person because they made their own travel arrangements. I mean, they didn't say all that. I'm just adding that as a context. Go ahead.
Yes, you can rent a car at the airport. I believe we rented one when we were there. There were at least 3, if not 4 different companies. So you would just have to go online. It's the Tri-Cities Airport. Go online to see what rental companies are available there.
And just to be clear, for sake of recording, anyone else listening to that's a cost that you'll have to incur on your own. We can't reimburse that fee.
And I did mention in the chat earlier that parking is available for free on campus. So there should be plenty of parking available.
And there was, in addition to that, I think someone who's driving is asking what time will they have access to the dorm rooms on Sunday, on day of arrival?
Registration is from 2 to 6, and then after the welcome reception. So we ask so that we have time to get everything set up, that you plan to arrive between 2 and 6 p.m. if at all possible. Now, we realize there's some people who are coming further than others, but unless you make specific outreach to us, everyone should arrive on June 4th and leave on June 7th. And like I said, as close to 2 to 6 on June 4th, and leaving, the program will end at noon. So it takes about 45 minutes from the college campus to the airport. So if you can get your flight to leave out around 3 o'clock, after 3 o'clock, that would be perfect. It's a small enough airport, well, unless everyone goes en masse, that there isn't a security line in these smaller airports, that you don't need to be there 2 hours early. I would say an hour early or an hour before boarding. So maybe say 3:30 just to make sure.
And I just want to say thank you to everybody for registering and logging in and staying on for the entirety of our webinar. I really appreciate it. I know folks have busy schedules. Folks have been traveling from biomedical or to biomedical. So thank you for making time to be a part of this conversation and to ask the questions and get all the information that you can. I am so excited that we're going to be in person for HINAC5. I cannot wait to see everyone and have these really important, critical conversations, as well as throw down and have a good time. Like, there's going to be shenanigans. There's going to be fun. We're going to work hard and we're going to play hard, and I cannot wait for you all to be a part of it. I also want to thank my hosts, our panelists, as well as our interpreter, Livia. Thank you so much. I know we went over our time, so we really appreciate you stretching yourself to get this information available to everyone. Again, this recording will be made available with the slides. And if you have any questions, I will add our email to the slides because it's not there right now. I just realized that. So everyone have a great, great evening. Thank you so much. And I think Tami is going to say something. You're muted.
Yes, I'm muted. I just dropped in the chat box the form to upload your proof of vaccination and boosters. If you have not done that, we cannot do your transportation until we receive that. And if the cost of your transportation increases, if you don't get this to us for a week or two, you are responsible for the difference in that. So we need you by Friday, which is 4 days. You need to have registered on HUVA. Everyone who has received a scholarship in one form or another should have received that link along with this link to upload your vaccination and boosters, but we cannot arrange your transportation until you have both registered and uploaded proof of vaccinations that meet our COVID protocols. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Sero staff, and we will make sure that you know that you have or have not met COVID protocols and have registered.
And just to be clear, that the by Friday is specifically and critically for our scholarship recipients, because we're making your travel arrangements. If you are making your own travel arrangements, we still need your COVID vaccine uploaded to that same link, but we definitely absolutely cannot book travel for scholarship recipients until we get that. And confirmation of payment, if that's referring to the scholarship, so scholarship recipients are paying a reduced registration fee. HUVA should give you that confirmation of payment upon making the payment. So if you're doing it on your phone, make a screenshot once you hit submit payment. If you're doing it on your computer, just try to copy a confirmation number. It should come up, or you get an email confirmation. That should be for all scholarship registration, or any registration, I'm sorry. That should be the only payment confirmation that, that's the only confirmation that we are responsible for, but all the travel confirmation and stuff, that will all go to Cindy, so you all don't have to worry about that. Eric?
There's a question in the question and answer field. If someone has already uploaded their proof of vaccination, how do they know that we received it?
We are trying, it's literally 3 people monitoring the receipt of confirmation for COVID. We are trying our best to email you back that we received it, but there are lots of you coming. So we're trying our best to, 1, we're filtering through to make sure that it meets our guidelines. 2, we're making sure that whether you're a scholarship recipient or you registered on your own, we have different buckets that everything goes into. And then we're doing our best to let you all know that we did receive it. But also, please bear with us. If you get an email that says, we need this thing by you, and you know that you've already done it, please email us back and say, I've already done this. Sometimes we're sending out mass emails because there's so many registrants. We just want to make sure we're not missing people in emails. So please bear with us if you're getting duplicate emails. We're not trying to bother you. We're just trying to make sure we don't miss anyone. Tami, was there something else?
Yeah, and just to let you know, okay, so if you have a question, whether or not you have completed all processes, email me and I will check the records. Eric Moore, you have completed all of the processes that I need for you to attend HINAC. Some people have received multiple emails on their vaccinations. Some people uploaded the same card twice, where I think they meant to either do the front or the back or a different card. So that is one reason why this is very complicated on our end, and we are doing the best that we can. If you think that you have uploaded the correct documentation and get an email from me, it's because I do not see when, or we do not see when we are reading the cards, that you have met the COVID protocols between September 2022 and April 14th, 2023. So excuse multiple emails. We are doing the best that we can. And Tana, you are covered. But if you, if in doubt, email me, TAMI_HAUGHT@seroproject.com.
And if there are concerns about your, like if you paid your registration fee and there's concerns about confirmation, please check all your folders, your spam folders. One, for the confirmation. Two, once you register, a lot of announcements will go through HIVA, especially once the conference starts. If we have announcements about sessions changing times or switching spaces, or an announcement about someone lost their key, anything, they'll go through HIVA. So please check your email folders for all emails. And
Carrie, to answer your question, I'd say when in doubt, it's better to upload it twice than to not have it. Because once again, if you are a scholarship recipient, we will not and cannot make your transportation until we have your COVID protocols. But if you are doing your own transportation, you would have to present your card on site with proof of meeting our COVID vaccinations. If somebody arrives to Emory and Henry and does not have all of the requirements for the COVID protocols, they will not be able to stay on campus, and it will be their responsibility to cover any costs that they incur by not providing by not having the COVID protocols met. And I'm sorry, Eric, go ahead.
I just want to add to that, I'm sorry, Eric, our COVID guideline the date is from September of 22 to mid-April, which is next week. So technically no one should be arriving on site to show their COVID card, because we need to see that you got the vaccine no later than next week. So if it's May and you're just not getting your vaccine, we can't accept that as proof of being vaccinated, because that's not enough of a window according to CDC before HINAC for that to be an acceptable barrier of COVID, just going by their guidelines. Sorry, Eric, I just wanted to add that.
That's okay. Just wanted to clarify for the recording. Someone asked if you registered through the Sero Project link on our website, if that was registered with HIVA. Yes, all of our links are directed to HIVA. And then also there was another question for clarification. Sorry, I don't remember what it is.
Yes, thank you for that, Eric. All links for registration go through HIVA except the COVID upload. HIVA does not have the formatting for us to be able to create a upload space there. So that's in a Google form. That's only going to myself and Tami, just for folks to know about, privacy settings, if they're concerned about that as well. So if you have questions or think you've uploaded your COVID card and you're not sure, as Tami said, it's better to be safe than not had it all, and just send it again, and we'll try our best to let you know that we've already received it. And thank you for that, Carrie. We know that sometimes this is folks' very first time ever going through a process like this. And this is our first time during a pandemic trying to plan everything out and make sure that we're keeping everyone safe and having the accurate information. So we're hoping for grace on both sides with doing things online. So if there's questions, if that individual has questions and needs someone to walk them through it, just please send us an email and we'll do our best to make sure they get the right information uploaded. So with that, again, our emails will be on the slides for folks that have questions, and we'll also on site, if there's like, in case of emergency, we'll have a track phone available, and during our welcome, different HINAC partner organization representatives will indicate what time of day that they're on staff to be that response to your in case of emergency. We are definitely here for our community, and we want to help you all enjoy yourselves, get to HINAC safely, and get home safely to keep on showing up. Thank you all again for staying on for this entire time. And again, if you have any further questions, please contact us. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.